3 a.m. in the morning. I'm sitting
That's into right field. Long run for Pilar. And Pilar all out into foul territory to make the play.
Bogarts with a drive out to right field. Judge is back on it, and that one's gone.
Against all odds. Here's a high fly ball driven deep to right. Verdugo back to the pen. Leaps up. He caught it. He caught the ball. He took it back.
And I will keep on waiting for a better day.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pesky Poll Podcast, episode 58. How you guys doing today? Today I have an insanely special episode for you guys where I not only have one, but two guests. One definitely more important than the other. Right now you're seeing... No, not even close. Right now you're seeing with me the less important guest. Adam, reintroduce yourself to the people.
Don't listen to the fake news, Robert. I'm the important one. It's fake news.
You already
I'm the major leaguer. I'm the pro baseball player.
You already know Adam. You've seen him on the episode like 3 or 4 times now. He's an awesome guy. He's going to help me with the interview today because I promised it last episode, and somehow I came through on my promise. Last episode, I said I would get Zach Bryant on the show, and I reached out to him, and the dude was kind enough to hop on tonight and let us talk some stuff about him, let you guys get to know the new guy we traded. Because if you guys don't remember, let me take you way, 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 way back. We had a guy named Josh Sosich. You remember Josh Sosich, right? We all hated him. Right, Adam?
Wasn't our favorite.
Adam barely even remembers him. I drank
Barely
away
remember.
the pain. I drank away the pain of Josh Osich, as is most of you guys. I know if you're watching the YouTube premiere with me tomorrow night, you all drank away the pain too. But this is the kid we got back. We all got clickbaited saying, oh, Bryant to the Red Sox. Bryant to the Red Sox. This is the Bryant, but y'all will see. This kid ain't so bad. All right, we haven't done the interview yet, but we'll see you guys afterwards. Probably Adam won't be here. I'll probably be recording the rest afterward. Just going over some slight Red Sox news, start talking about spring training. Real quick, Adam, what have you seen have you seen any spring training games so far?
I have not. I go by. So do you remember that one time that Will Ferrell a few years ago was the third base coach?
Yes.
And he put out a sign. He says, remember, these games don't count. I live by those rules.
Mm-hmm.
I go, you know what? I'll check in on them here and there just to see how they look. But overall, like you have to look at it. You have to take most of these games with a grain of salt because it's really just a tune-up to the regular season. Their goal isn't to win games. Their goal is to just get themselves ready for the regular season. So I guess my message to anybody who's watching and feeling frustrated, probably justifiably so, towards this Red Sox team during spring training, just take a step back, take a deep breath. Remember, these are exhibition games. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, that's the way I've always looked at it.
But we haven't necessarily been doing too bad so far. We got a 1-2 record, but I don't care about the record. I don't care about how many runs we let up. I just care about how specific people are doing. You know,
Didn't they have
Kike
to
Hernandez.
call a mercy rule because Garrett Richards was so bad?
We don't want to talk about that, okay? I think they lost that game 8-5. All right, they won today 9-3 versus the Rays. So
I'll take it.
I will take that. I mean, some guys are showing out, right? Kike Hernandez just hit his first homer today. Yeah, new signing, got some good power. I'll take it.
Yeah, he's a nice little utility guy. I like him.
So, with that being said, let's not waste the people's time anymore. Make sure if you're on YouTube, you subscribe, follow, turn on those post notifications so you can see us every time we go live, or I go live. Adam sometimes shows up, and whatever guest I may have, professional athlete or not. Spotify and iTunes, gang, I never forget about you guys. How you guys doing today? Make sure you hit that follow button so you can see every time I get the privilege to interview a professional or minor league baseball player, because for me, it's always the most fun thing to do, to get to talk to these players, see their stories about how they made it into the league. With that being said, nothing else to say, Adam. You got anything else to say to the people before we get right into it?
Let's rock and roll.
Let's rock and okay. We were just listening to AC/DC before we hit the record
Yeah,
button.
so we're amped. We're amped for this. We are ready for this pro foot. Bring them on. Let's go.
All right. With that being said,
Start tossing a few innings forward. We're gonna.
All right. Let's not waste the people's time anymore. Let's get right into it. All right. Joining us today. You guys wanted it. I promised it on the last episode. He was lucky. He was fortunate. I was fortunate enough for him to respond to my DM. 15th round pick in 2019 by the Cubs. Did I get that right?
Yeah. Yep.
15th round. Zach Bryant. How you doing today, man?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
We're not doing too bad. Not doing too bad. Like I said to the people already, we got Adam here also to help me out with this. Without further ado, let's get right into the first question. We talked a little bit off camera, but I want you to say it again for the recording. What was your favorite team growing up, and how did you get to become a fan of them?
Growing up, man, I was a diehard Red Sox fan. It all started because the first game I watched was a Red Sox game. You know, watching Dustin Pedroia, Manny Ramirez, David Ortiz, all those guys. You know, I mean, it was impossible not to love that team. So, yeah, it all started there. Watched the first game, and it was those guys. Fell in love with it, fell in love with Fenway. And then back then, I think I was like 6 years old. So I had an Xbox and MVP Baseball 2004, the original, the best baseball game there ever was. So playing that, I'd always play as the Red Sox. And they had this song Tessie by the Dropkick Murphys playing. So, you know, I fell in love with the song. And then 6 years old, littlest things amuse you. So, yeah, it all started there. Always played as the Red Sox. Always wanted to watch the Red Sox. Parents started buying me Red Sox stuff for Christmas. And from there it was set in stone, man. And then literally, I think when I was 10 and my parents got me my first phone when I was going to middle school or something like that, they preloaded the ringtone on the phone to be Tessie. But yeah, just to show how serious I am about that. I'm not just saying that for the sake of Red Sox Nation. I really was a diehard Sox fan.
Mm-hmm. Dude, that is awesome. And just so you know, we may or may not have been rocking to a little bit of AC/DC before we started this interview, but we had
to get amped up.
Man, we especially Dropkick Murphys. All right, if you love them, you already a Red Sox fan in our books. All right.
I had to throw that in there, man, you know, to show that I'm not just fronting for the sake of Red Sox Nation saying I was a fan. I was no fake fan. I was Red Sox through and through.
Absolutely.
So, Zach, growing up and being a fan of the Red Sox, did you ever have any players in particular who you were a fan of? Any favorite players on that team, or any singular player in particular?
Got to go David Ortiz. All-time GOAT, man. Just his postseason heroics are just unparalleled, man. Sounds like it's something out of a movie or out of a book. David Ortiz for sure. But before that, it was Dustin Pedroia. Just because, I mean, the level of heart that he played with, man, just balls to the wall every single game. It's hard not to love watching that, you know. And plus, he was a little guy that still mashed home runs. So, I mean, I loved watching him play. And then, as I got older, I started really liking David Ortiz a lot more than Dustin Pedroia, really. But so he took the number one spot on my ranking for Red Sox guys that I like.
Yeah, sad to see them both go.
Yes. Yeah, usually for pitchers, we always see like them say another pitcher that they always look up to. I'm surprised that you didn't say a pitcher.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back then growing up, I mean, I didn't really understand fully the pitching side of things, and I didn't really fully understand that until I got older, and that's when I really started appreciating watching, you know, the big names in pitching pitch. Back then, you know, when you're a young guy, you just want to watch home runs and sick plays in the infield. So those were my guys. If I had to pick a pitcher, I know his Red Sox career was kind of short-lived, but Kimbrel.
Hey, his Sox days were amazing. His Cubs days we won't talk about. That's the way I look at Craig Kimbrel. All right, I love the guy. Yeah, but Next question I got for you is, so throughout your career in high school and even before, when did you really figure out you wanted to pursue baseball, play ball in college, and when did you really figure out that pitching was where you wanted to be?
I would say it was definitely in high school. Well, all my life I knew that I wanted to play baseball long term. A lot of little leaguers say they want to play in the big leagues and all that, but once I get a little older, that the passion for the game kind of fizzles out, and that definitely wasn't the case for me. I just kind of always loved it, and then when I knew pitching was the route was high school, and guys started throwing a little bit harder. They start actually getting a little bit better off speed. Hitting gets harder just in general. So there was a very clear difference in my skill level between pitching and hitting. So I think it was sophomore year is when I officially became a PO. I had a couple at bats junior year, didn't do too bad, but just the love and the drive for it wasn't there like it was for pitching at that point. But yeah, it was around sophomore year in high school.
Gotcha.
There you go. So how was your time? So Zach, how was your time in community college? And another question, which did you enjoy more, Daytona Beach or Jacksonville University?
My time in junior college was honestly the most important time in my life. It was a point where, so in high school, I wasn't very heavily recruited. I had a bit of a weight problem. I was kind of overweight. I was sitting around 240 and not much muscle to back it up. So just, a soft 240 isn't a very good look. So I, fast forward, I go to Daytona State. It was my only offer out of high school. I go there. I lost a little bit of weight going into freshman year. Got around 225-ish. Put it all right back on. And then
Freshman 15?
Pretty much, yeah, literally.
All been through it.
Put it all right back on.
We've all
And
been
then,
there.
the coach, it was like a tough love kind of situation. And he told me exactly what I needed to hear and kind of lit a fire under me. And, from there, I fell in love with the gym, learned how to eat right. Been on that kick ever since. So that's why that was the most important time in my career, because I don't think if I wouldn't have gone there and if I didn't hear what I needed to hear, I don't think I would have played past junior college. Me losing the weight and me packing on the muscle like I did was a game changer. I went from like a high 80s guy to a low 90s guy, just like that. From freshman fall to spring, I made that big jump just from getting stronger. And then freshman year to sophomore year was an even bigger jump. I went from topping out low 90s to sitting low 90s at that point. So junior college was a definite career pivotal point for me. Now, which one did I enjoy more? Jacksonville, just because the environment there was just, I loved it. It was a big time family environment, dude. Like the head coach there, and the way he managed the team was, I've never played for a team that felt more like a family, like close knit. And plus two, I feel like what kind of fueled that a little bit was the fact that it was a private school. So it's a little bit smaller. So every single one of your classes, you're going to have some baseball players in.
Mm-hmm.
And, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed Jacksonville a lot more just because, not that I didn't enjoy Daytona State, I did, but Jacksonville was just, the environment was incredible. I loved it.
Yeah. And I 100% get that, because for me and Adam, we both go to the same school up in southern Massachusetts. There's about less than 1,200 kids that go to this school. So it is a very, very close-knit school. So we 100% get that. Going off of that, what was your favorite time in college ball? Do you have a specific favorite moment throughout your time in college?
Favorite moment was pitching against Florida. I came in when I was with Jacksonville. I came in a bit of a tight situation. Bases loaded. I think we had the lead. I don't think we ended up winning the game, but I think we had the lead. Bases loaded, no outs. They put me in and came in and struck out the side.
Oh, damn.
Which was huge to me because, I mean, my dad was a big Gators fan. My grandpa was a big Gators fan. So, I mean, it's a big old Gators family, basically. So coming in against them and doing what I did against them, and such the rich history, Florida baseball has, coming in and doing that was awesome to me. I love that. That definitely is my favorite moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, damn, I can't even imagine having to sit there and come in bases loaded against a top school like that.
Especially as a mid-major. Oh, I'll tell you what, man, I was locked in. I don't know if the video is somewhere out there on Twitter.
I got to find it now.
When I struck out the last dude, I was like tunnel vision. I was locked in. I was freaking trucking back to the dugout. Everyone's like, yeah, good job, trying to give me knuckles. And I'm like, I'm so locked in, so fired up. I was drilling their hands. I go back and I watch the video after. I'm like, dude, my bad. I mean, I literally punch you. But I was so fired up, man. That was incredible.
So I was gonna get into this later, but so those like points of pressure like that don't really get to you that much?
No, I don't. Like I feel like I thrive off pressure. Like it doesn't get me too worked up to where I get like nervous. I definitely play up to those big moments, but I never get like nervous, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I get amped up. I get but it kind of just makes me more focused, if that makes sense. I don't ever get nervous. It never gets too big for me. The bigger the situation, the more locked in I am, the more like amped up I am.
Mm-hmm. And hey, that's what we're looking for. We need someone to come in the bottom of the 8th inning at Fenway. All right. That place.
Good energy. I like it.
No mercy there.
That's the goal, man.
So transitioning from your college days to draft day, so everybody has a different draft day story. So tell us about your draft day. Did you fall around where you thought you would, or so what were your expectations on that day?
Well, I went into the draft without an agent, so I didn't have much. I had a little bit of guidance, but I didn't have like anyone to deal with, calling the scouts for me and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So as you can imagine, it was very, very stressful. I was at home alone. It was on my birthday. The day I got drafted was my birthday. So I was at home alone on my birthday, and on and off the phone, calling different people, having different teams call me and whatnot. And then, finally I knew about where I was going to get drafted. I knew that day 3 was my day, and like what numbers I was looking at and whatnot. So it was more just a matter of which team called first, pretty much, and ended up being the Cubs. And then so then they called and they said, "Hey man, you watching the TV?" And I was like, "Sure am." Sure enough, my name pops up, and it was very extremely special moment. I wish I had more family or friends there to experience that with me, but it was awesome. Mm-hmm. Shortly after my parents did get home, it didn't take too long, but they missed it by just a little bit.
Damn. But I'm gonna take a little guess here. That was probably the best birthday present you've received.
yeah, by a long shot.
Man, I can't. And what birthday was that? Your 20th or 21st birthday?
It's bad I have to think about that. It was my 21st.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, so I'm guessing that was a fun night after that.
It was a very fun night, yeah.
I'm guessing we may have had our first bar visit after that one.
Yeah, no, it was a very, very fun night, for sure.
And
lots of celebrating.
Mm-hmm. And I've asked this to people before because I interviewed one guy. I can't remember, but another pitcher that I interviewed told me he went into draft day without an agent. Now, I know you get a bigger check after everything's all said and done, but you think it was easier or harder for you to go through that whole process with you making the decisions and not an agent?
See, the way it was explained to me was one of the coaches at JU was basically like, "Listen, dude, I know you know this, but you're not a top 5 round guy. Because if you were, you'd know it by now. And if you were, I would recommend getting an agent because it's more to handle, it's more negotiating, all that stuff. But because you're looking at, late day 2, early day 3, is it all that necessary? Not really." So, it it was pretty stressful just handling all that and talking to the different scouts. But in the end, I think, like you said, if you were to have an agent, they would take a percentage. And I do have an agent now. Love them, great guys, and they actually helped me out a little bit on draft day because I talked to them beforehand, and they were like, well, hey, listen, man, if you ever need any help with all this, anything like with this process, on or off the record, give us a call. We'd love to help. So I needed someone to talk to, ask some questions, and on draft day I called them, and they helped me out a little bit. But yeah, the draft day was definitely something without an agent. It's supposed to be an extremely special day, which it was, but a lot of stress involved.
I bet that does not. Trust me, coming from somebody who never played past high school baseball, that seems like the greatest and same time the most stressful day of your life.
Yeah, 100%. That's the best way to put it. The best / most stressful day ever.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you get drafted and you go from playing college ball at Jacksonville to end up going to, I believe I saw, was it either rookie ball or were you in Oregon playing single A right after?
At first, I went to rookie ball. Pretty much all the guys with the Cubs went straight to rookie ball, except for like the top 5 rounders. They went there, but it was more so like throw a couple bullpens, make sure your arm's right. We're gonna send you to Eugene. Mm-hmm. Everybody else, it was pretty much same thing. Get there, throw a couple bullpens. We'll put you on a roster, and then based off how you do in rookie ball, we'll decide if you want to move you up. So then I did pretty well. So then I got moved up to Oregon when we had like maybe a month, like 2 months left of the season. So I went up there and finished up the season up there, and yeah, so Oregon was beautiful. Loved it up there, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I was looking up some numbers, and most people experience that kind of first year slump from going from college to actually playing professionally minor leagues. You were the exact opposite of that from the numbers I see. Just go in and casually average like a 1.2 ERA throughout your time in 2019. Just
something like that. I think it was a
1.2, just nothing like. I know it was only a small sample size, but how did you really do that going from college to professional, not letting that change you, and even like really improving throughout that time?
Well, the very first outing in rookie ball was terrible. I think I went in. I think I recorded like 2/3 of an inning or something like that with like seemed like a million walks. I was all over the place. I think I got a little too worked up just knowing that, career debut.
It's your first time out there, yeah.
Yeah, but then after that, I kind of settled down and got back to who I am and figured it out from there. And then back to the same old, pitch to contact and let the hitters get themselves out, So then I figured it out after that first outing. But after that was my mentality. I didn't have the same like power behind the ball just because I went through a whole college season, went through a whole summer ball season before that. And before that was the whole junior college season. So my arm never really had much of a break. So it was starting to get fatigued a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I started running out of, basically I was just, the velo was slowing down a little bit. So I kind of switched into a throw strikes, let the hitters get themselves out mentality, and then go for the strikeout when it presents itself. That was after that first outing. That's pretty much what I locked into, and it definitely worked because I ended up with pretty decent numbers.
Yeah, decent. Yeah, like I said, I went on and I looked at those numbers in the last episode because we were talking about this before we had you on. We recorded an intro already, and the guy you got traded for back in July, August, guy's named Josh Sosich. We hated Josh Sosich. All right. Mans came in here. We were so excited for him. Averaged like an 8 ERA. Now, I get it. I'm lucky if I can throw an 80-mile-an-hour fastball. I ain't got an arm. I ain't got nothing. So I ain't going to critique him, but I was really excited when I look up, saw your numbers, saw who got traded back for him. I think we got a good return on our investment of Josh Sosich.
I appreciate that. No, I didn't even I didn't even know who Josh Ostrich was. To be
Adam didn't
honest.
either, and he's a Red Sox fan, so don't worry.
I didn't know who he was, and then until I got traded, so I looked up some of the details of who I was traded for, and I mean, right then I was pretty shocked. I mean, me for a big leaguer, that was pretty wild to me. But yeah, no, I didn't even know who he was before it. Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's exciting stuff. It was pretty mind blowing to me. 1 for 1, me for him. That was kind of wild.
Mm-hmm. All right. You got the next one?
Yeah. So 2020 was tough year for all of us. So not being able to play throughout 2020. How have you kept in shape throughout the 2020 season despite not being able to play?
I kind of used this time off because it's pretty much an entire year to focus on mostly strength. I spent a majority of the year just trying to get as strong as possible. At that point, it wasn't much of a weakness. Like my strength wasn't my, the lowest thing for me. But I knew there was definitely still some room to grow. So I spent a majority of it lifting, just trying to get as strong as physically possible. Spent a little time, about 5 weeks. I went up to Driveline so the summer before I was at JU, I was up to 97. JU was up to 96. And then when I'm, in Oregon, I'm topping out at like 93, 94. So I'm just trying to figure out what the heck's going on. I didn't know if it was fatigue. I didn't know if it was something mechanical or what. But I was just trying to figure it out. So I go to Driveline, trained up there for 5 weeks, and then took some time off. And then just now, so I started ramping my arm back up again, tweaked my back, and then started throwing again a couple weeks later. And just now I'm starting to see the results of getting way stronger, in way better shape. I'm just now starting to see the results of that on the mound. So it's very exciting stuff. But fortunately, I live in Florida, so we didn't really have to deal with much of, the gyms being closed and all those places being closed. So I pretty much always had a gym accessible, even when, they were supposed to be closed. I was still able to get lifts in. So COVID really didn't affect me that much. It was more so just no baseball, which kind of sucked,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, but I'm from Tennessee. All right. We didn't close down for nothing. We still had, of course, we had our safety precautions and everything. We were closed down for a couple weeks, but we still had gyms open. We still had everything available. So us Southerners, we got it lucky.
Yeah, you guys were lucky. I was stuck in Mass the whole time.
was Mass pretty locked down?
It was locked down, but not as bad as some other states. We were open just to a capacity. So it was
Right.
it was tolerable, but
Still sucked.
Hell, even here at college, right? We can't go up into our lounge with more than 8 people. That's as many as we can have in a specific place. And the dorm right now is 8.
Yeah, see, Robert's a CA in our college, so he actually has to enforce these rules.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Jeez.
Ain't fun. It ain't fun, but being in Florida, all right, and I want to ask you about this. So how personally did you like Florida? Because I'm assuming, did you go, are you back home in Florida right now?
I am, yeah. I'm in Port Orange.
Oh, nice. I lived in Florida for 3-4 years. I'm not going to lie, I hated it. Way too warm in the summer. All right. You could play baseball twice a year, which I liked. You had spring and fall, but just the summers were brutal. I don't know how you put up with it.
Well, you live in here your whole life, you get kind of used to it. You said you're from Tennessee, right?
I've only lived there for about a year and a half now.
Okay.
I'm originally a Maine guy, so polar opposite.
Okay. Yeah, so the heat would definitely get to you. But the longer you live here, man, you just get used to it. But I love Florida, personally. That's like I was saying earlier. Pitching in the cold is just never had to do it. Not looking forward to it. But I've been kind of spoiled here in Florida. It's never been a problem to get warm. But no, I love it. I love it down here.
Yeah. Well, let me ask this: what was the weather down there today?
It was today was actually a little chilly. It was in like the low 70s, high 60s. It was a little chilly.
Oh my god. Okay. So let me give you a hint of what you're in for. Okay. Today
Okay.
it was 25 degrees, but there was an insane wind that any skinny tiny girl here got blown out by the wind. Right? They couldn't stand on their feet. Trees were almost falling over,
Yeah,
and
so
made it
Robert
feel
got
like
blown
about
out by
10
the wind.
degrees. Hey. Let's be nice here. Yeah, so that's what you're in for. All right, once you get up to Massachusetts and you got to deal with this, well, it'll be about April-ish, so it won't be too bad. But hit me up. We'll take you to an LLB and get you an actual winter jacket.
It sounds good, dude. The wind's killer. You know, we get some days down in the 40s and 30s, and I mean, the cold, like, you can deal with it. It's just the wind that makes it so much worse. You know, like cold wind.
Man.
So I can only imagine 25 and gusting like that.
Mhm.
I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But all I gotta say is Tennessee is much better than Florida because we get snow about twice a year and it's gone within 3 days. So you get to sit there and enjoy the snow and then boom, it's gone. Right?
Yeah.
We don't have to deal with the insane summers. Yes, it gets warm, but nothing too crazy. And we don't have to deal with any Florida man stories. All right. I rest my
It's just
case.
the humidity, man. The humidity's killer. That's what makes the weather so bad here. But like I said, you get used to it. You know, you live here your whole life.
I don't know how you do, but I'll take your word for it. So
And those Florida man stories, those are something.
I'm not gonna lie, I love reading them. It's a beautiful thing. All right.
Makes for some crazy headlines, that's for sure.
Gets you guys on the map, you know.
Yeah.
Not
yeah.
like Disney World already did that, but you know. Well, of course it's gonna make me upgrade. All right.
Florida
Well,
man trumps
yeah.
Disney World.
What's that?
Florida man trumps Disney World.
Yeah. Especially in the Twitterverse with all the memes.
Yeah.
Twitter's a powerful thing.
That's an understatement. So, I don't know. It's gonna kick us out in like 10 minutes. So I'm gonna ask one more question. I'm really sorry because of course Zoom only does this to me when I have to do an interview. This is the second time it's happened to me, and both times haven't been when I've just been doing regular shows. Just during interviews, it gives me a 40-minute time. So I'll have to ask this question, then I'll have to turn it off and get you back on. But so a couple days ago, you found out that you were traded to Boston. How did you find out that you were traded, and what was the news like to you once you got that shock?
Well, I mean, I had just got home from my own throwing, about to go to the gym. I come home, I was gonna relax a little bit, play some PlayStation, and next thing you know, I get a phone call, unknown number, declined. Thought it was a telemarketer, and then it's a Cubs guy. Come to find out, he texted me and said, "Hey man, give me a call when you get a chance." So I call him back, and he's like, "Hey man, this is probably the last thing you expected to hear on your Saturday, but you're not a Cub anymore." So immediately, because of like how things are for the minor leaguers right now, I pooped myself. You know, I thought I was getting released.
Oh,
So yeah, heart dropped, and then he says you were traded to the Boston Red Sox. So I was like relieved, shocked, so many different like feelings like just came over me. I was like, holy crap, thank God. So then so he told me that. He was like, thanks man, you know, it was a pleasure working with you. We love to hear, but that someone from the Red Sox would be in contact shortly. Then, you know, hung up the phone. 2 minutes later, the Red Sox tweeted it. And so I called my agent, called a couple different people, told my parents. Twitter started blowing up. Jared Carabas started tweeting at me, which was nuts. And it was actually funny because when Twitter started going nuts, I had to mute it because I was, you know, talking to family and talking to different people that I needed to talk to. My watch was constantly going nuts. So from all the notifications, so I had to mute Twitter. And then people started sending me screenshots of what Jared was saying at me. I'm like, okay, it's time to go back on Twitter. I gotta respond to this guy. But yeah, no, it happened on a Saturday when I was just relaxing. It's pretty crazy.
man, you don't know how bad we got clickbaited with this news. All right. And I know this is going to sound bad, and I apologize for it, but every headline was saying Bryant traded from Cubs to Red Sox. All right. And I don't know if you know this, but there's another Bryant on the Cubs that is very well known, and they're a selling team, so we got all excited. I'm like,
Yeah, no, I saw the responses, and I saw Jeff Passan's tweet about the what is it, the troll gif. I saw that, and I was like, oh man. I saw all the different responses of everyone being ticked off about it, but yeah, no, I definitely imagine being in a Red Sox fan's shoes and seeing Bryant to the Cubs or Bryant to the Red Sox and freaking out.
Yeah, we did a little bit. That's an understatement. Like I had a show. I run the show twice a week, so I always record on Saturdays and Tuesdays. On Saturday, I'm sitting here just looking up, okay, what am I going to talk about for the show? And I just type in Red Sox news. That's the first thing that pop up. I'm like, oh my God, how did I not hear about this? I click the article, and it says Zach Bryant, and I'm like, kidding me. But then I realized it was for Josh Sosich, and I'm like, if we would have somehow swindled Chris Bryant for Josh Sosich, that would have been a game changer.
Yeah, that would have been nuts for sure.
But like I said, after looking at the stats and everything that you had, we got a good return on our investment.
Yeah, seeing all the Red Sox fans being disappointed after that tweet, I just want to say I completely do not plan on disappointing anybody. I have full faith in that. So hopefully, it might not be as exciting as a Chris Bryant trade, but I definitely I hope I don't disappoint anybody further than they already were from some of the tweets about it.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get into that in just a second. I do have to end the call and the recording, and we'll get right back into the interview.
All right, now, so we went into the finding out about the trade to Boston. Now, sort of as for like the aftermath of the trade, so have you been in communication with any players since, or have you reached out to anybody in the Sox organization in the days like since you've been traded? I know it's only been a few days, but I gotta ask.
I have not. I've been meaning to reach out to Alex Arrow. I don't know if you know the name. I played with him in Fond du Lac in summer ball in the Northwoods League.
Mm-hmm.
Played with him a little bit, so I've been meaning to reach out to him. I'll probably do that after this podcast, actually. But other than that, no, not really.
Okay. I know you probably can't tell us this, but have you gotten any inkling on where you might be?
No,
Nothing.
no.
Yeah, that's one. But it's depending if they do keep you in the same level. There's a guy who would be probably on the same team as you. His name's Brendan Salucci, good friend of the podcast, relief pitcher. This man can chug a ball. I'm pretty sure he's hit like 98, 99.
Okay.
With his fastball. Send him this because I know he's one of the nicest guys. He'll accept. Anyway, if you say, "Yo, I got traded," probably be on your team.
Okay. Yeah. What was his name?
Brendan Salucci.
Okay.
He played. He played with Lowell last year, or 2 years ago, but we don't have Lowell anymore, which is sad. They got rid of him.
Was that the Spinners?
Yep.
Yeah, that's where Arrow was.
Man, that was one of my favorite teams because when I was young, those were my first memories. Was in Lowell. That's where I grew up for the first couple of years of my life. First memories, my dad taking me to Lowell Spinners games. That was sad to see that team go.
Yeah, there's a lot of minor league teams getting banged, man. Kind of sucks. Sucks seeing it.
I just got to ask, have you seen the Worcester Woo Sox?
No.
No? Okay. Do me a favor and after this podcast, look it up and just look at how bad the logo is. All right,
Okay.
they made an emoji and made it in a logo.
I'll check that out.
It looks like a Kool-Aid man. It's freaky.
Nah. It looks more like if you've ever seen Monsters Inc. take like a young Mike Wazowski, put two eyes on it, and that's the logo.
Make them yellow too.
Yes, and yellow.
Jeez, yeah, no, I'll definitely check that out. You know,
But-
it's crazy. As many like incredible minor league logos as there are, there's just as many terrible ones.
Oh,
Somewhere in the middle always. It's either a beautiful logo, like when I was with the Emeralds, I loved their logo. I thought it was sick.
Mhm.
And then there's like the Chihuahuas.
Yes.
Yeah, the Chihuahua. I mean, it's either an incredible one or a terrible one. There's not like there's no
There's
normal like,
no in
sharps
between.
or something like that. It's always something crazy.
And this is coming from a diehard Red Sox fan. Like I told you, I go somewhat in depth on the minor league organizations as well. This might be the worst logo I've seen. That's
definitely check it out.
sad. But you were telling us before we had to end the call that you hope to not disappoint Sox fans. So what can Boston fans expect out of you as you climb through the Sox organization? Be honest with me.
Well, I can honestly say that the Red Sox are getting a completely different version of me than what the Cubs had.
Really?
Because like I was saying before, well, I don't want to say a completely different version, but a much, much, much improved version. Because like I said, I mean, when I was in Eugene, I was topping out like 93, 94, somewhere around there. And I mean, I don't know how much of this I should be talking about, but I mean, just in my last bullpen, it was my second bullpen of getting back after it. And I wasn't even like going game intensity. It was just like normal bullpen intensity. And I was sitting 2 to 4, touch to 5, which for me, like I was saying earlier, going to drive line, focusing on strength, focusing on all that stuff and improving mobility, explosiveness, all that sort of stuff. It's just now, I'm just now starting to put it all together and see the benefits of it. So that's what leads me to say that the Red Sox are getting a completely better, new and improved version of me than what the Cubs had for sure.
Man, we're going to go new and improved from like a 1.25 ERA. I like the sounds of it. I don't know about you, Adam, but that sounds something I'm fully on board for.
Pretty sexy, gotta say.
Yeah, and trust me.
Love to see it.
I know the fans out there right now are loving it too. All right, and trust me, us Boston fans, and this is just a sneak peek. All right, and I know you've been a Boston fan too, so you kind of know this. Us Boston fans, we are very, very like, I wouldn't say picky, but we expect perfection.
Oh yeah.
You know, playing in Boston, the minor leagues, I can't say for a fact, but especially in Boston, it is tough.
Yeah.
So we love the sound of that.
That's great. Like I said, I don't want to disappoint anyone. You know, that's definitely not in my list of plans. I don't want to disappoint anybody. I want to excel and exceed expectations by far.
And trust me, even after this podcast ends, you guys start the season. Especially me, I'm gonna look a lot into your season, see how you're doing. You know, probably go to a game if they'll let us. I hope they'll let people actually go to minor league games.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird pitching with no one there.
Have you ever thought about that, like pitching without fans? Because I'm assuming even in minor league ball, you were still throwing in front of like hundreds and thousands of people.
Yeah, no, in Eugene, we had a pretty nice little fan base. We probably average, I mean, on some of the lesser nights, there was like 1,000. But I mean, because we played at the University of Oregon's field, so it was a nice little stadium, and we definitely packed the house a couple times. Rookie ball, of course, there's no one there.
Yeah,
but Daytona State, there was never any fans. It was just a couple parents. So I've pitched in front of no one, like not having many fans before, but it's been a while for sure. But I'm the type of dude, like I feed off the adrenaline. So just having a batter in there changes the game for me. That's why I was excited about the sitting 2 to 4, topping out at 95 in a bullpen, because that's without a hitter, you know?
Yeah.
You put a hitter in there, the adrenaline goes up a little bit. And then plus you factor in a couple thousand fans, the adrenaline goes up even more. So, I mean, there's no telling what that number will be come season if fans are allowed. But I've put very little thought into it because I really hope that there's going to be fans allowed.
Yeah. And if there are fans allowed, you can guarantee that us two are going to a game.
Oh, totally.
I know with pitchers, like, they'll probably end up putting you in either Salem, which is somewhat close to here, or Portland, which if you go into Maine, good luck to you. 'Cause you go,
Salem's what, low A, right?
yes. Is it low A or is it high A? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think it's
But
high A.
I believe it's high A.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
high A.
So, and Portland is
Low A is Greenville, I believe.
Greenville. Yep.
Okay, so I in my head I had it mixed up. I thought Greenville was high A and Salem was low A.
Yeah, they had switched it from last year. Lowell was high A, Greenville was low A, and Salem, I believe, was whatever levels below that.
Okay,
But-
so maybe I looked at something old if they just switched it.
They bumped up Salem. Yeah,
Okay.
but no matter what, we're going to do our best to go to a game. Hopefully we can see you out there pitching.
Awesome, yeah, that'd be sweet.
That'd be awesome. So, let me take this next one because I really like this question. You got the next
All right.
one. So, like I told you before we started recording, we wanted to get to know the personable side of you also. When people think Zach Bryant, they think baseball player, obviously, but there's more to you. So, tell me a little bit about yourself outside of baseball. Do you have any other hobbies or anything like that that you want people to know about Zach Bryant?
Like I was saying earlier, when I found the gym when I was in junior college, I really, really fell in love with that. I loved working out, loved just trying to better myself and my body, feel healthier, look healthier. So definitely working out. So unlike most pitchers, I mean, most pitchers don't like the gym. I love the gym. Getting in there has never been a problem for me. So with my free time, you can find me in the gym. Fishing. I haven't had much time to do it recently, especially once I got into college. It kind of got hard to find time because a lot of the off days, you just kind of want to relax and recover a little bit. But especially in high school, man, any off day I was going. But I don't go nearly as often as I did. But fishing is definitely a passion of mine as well. Other than that, I mean, pretty much just hanging out with friends, hanging out with people. I dabble in golf a little bit. I'm not very good, but I'm working on it.
And that's a baseball player. Once you get into your like late 30s, early 40s, that's when you get good at golf.
Yeah. Right now it's just about seeing how far I can drive it.
Got any big fishing stories? I'm actually a big fisher myself, so.
Me too. I'm not good at it, but
really. Pretty much like the craziest thing I could talk about fishing wise was I'm sure you've heard of the Mullet Run.
Mullet Run.
I've heard
Sounds
of it.
familiar.
You guys are up north, so there's not many mullet up there, but that's the bait fish, the big time bait fish down here in Florida. And when they start running, they start migrating south, and so you get giant pods of mullet. And so one year I went to the Ponce Inlet Jetty to fish the Mullet Run, and there's millions of mullet just going insane. And the water's pretty clear there. So you could see it like in the waves. You could see the giant schools of mullet. You could see the holes in the pods of the mullet with like sharks swimming because they're obviously trying to avoid the sharks. So there's sharks. There's redfish. There's barracuda following the schools. You could see it all clear as day, because the water was so clear. And there's probably 100, 200 people out there fishing just because that's the craziest time of the year to fish. And so I went out there with a buddy, and we caught like 2 or 3 slot redfish. That alone made it a great day. And we're seeing guys after guys just reeling in big time red, snook, you name it, they were catching it. And off in the distance, in one of the waves, we see a giant silver flash, and we're like, "What in the world was that?" We thought it was a shark because you see all the little mullet. And they're putting off like little flashes, but we saw like a big one. So like, what in the world was that? So we started looking out there, and it was probably, it had to have been a monstrosity of a tarpon just chilling out there. So that was seeing that big of a tarpon in person, just out there, like, doing its thing. That was pretty sick. I'll never forget that. But other than that, man, I don't have any crazy fishing stories. Just experiencing that is nuts.
That's crazy enough.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, so being in baseball, lots of superstitions. So do you have any superstitions when it comes to you pitching?
Not really. When I was younger, I had a couple. Pretty much my only thing is whatever undershirt I'm wearing, I'll pitch with that until I'm not doing good, and then I'll get a new one. Because I wear like the 3/4 sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
But no, not really. I just try to. So like, say I do bad, I'll try to find a new routine. I'll stick to the stuff I know I need, but other than that, I'll get a new routine as far as times I'm doing stuff, the different stretches I'm doing and whatnot. And then if it works, if I do good, I just try to keep everything the same, you know. But as far as like a hardcore set in stone superstition, not really. I keep it pretty basic. I try to wear the same stuff if I'm doing good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see, when I was playing, like I was a center fielder, but whenever I'd go up to bat, right, I always had this same exact thing, always same exact routine in the batter's box. Go up, have my batting stance same, my just everything routine the same, and like one of the pitchers I talked to, a guy in the Padres organization, right, he says, yeah, I always just eat some gummy bears before I get up and get loose. Why? He's like, I don't know. They taste good.
That's quite a
Reason
fun
enough.
superstition. Everyone's got their thing, man. Everyone's got their thing.
So the only thing you really like, you just keep everything the same until it stops working.
Pretty much. Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And then as soon as it is broken, find a new routine.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha. So we do got 2 more questions for you, Adam. Take this next one for me.
Okay.
Is that me?
Yeah, Adam. I said
Yeah, my
take the next
bad.
one.
All right, yeah. Might be. So do you enjoy playing ball down in Florida, or do you prefer up north more? I know this is very different, so.
Like I said before, I haven't had to play much ball up north. Even when I was in Eugene, it was pretty warm. It was I think the coolest I got was probably in the 60s, which is just, you know, that's comfortable weather. Throwing a hoodie and you're chilling, you know. Haven't had to pitch in extremely cold weather, but just from playing here so much, I'd probably much prefer pitching in Florida than anywhere else. Just because it's so easy to get warm and it's so easy to stay loose once you are warm. So I mean, tightening up's never been a problem. So I definitely enjoy pitching in Florida.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, whether you're in Salem, Portland, Greensville, doesn't matter, right? Let me tell you what it's like up here in New England. Let me give you a little warning. Come around April, you'll show up to the ballpark. You'll still see some snow on the ground here and there because it's still cold. Even into like late April, early May, you'll still see some snow on the ground. It'll probably be, depending on game time, if you're playing at night, it'll be about 40, 45 degrees, somewhere around that area. So, you know, that's going to be probably the hardest thing to get used to, is just trying to get warm when it's that cold outside. Yeah.
I feel like once I'm used to it, I'll be fine, but it's just going to be a matter of getting used to it because I'm so conditioned to being down here. I can remember one time I took a bit of an impromptu trip to Indiana in the middle of the junior college season because I had to go up there for a funeral. And, I mean, heck, it was like 18 degrees. So, you know, we're mid-season. I had to keep my arm in shape. And just trying to get loose in that. Dude, that was rough. That was definitely pretty rough.
I bet that cold. Damn.
Looking back on it, I feel like as long as you're able to, like, if you could go inside to do like whatever stretches or warm-ups you need to do, once you go outside, as long as the juices are flowing, I feel like it wouldn't be that much of an issue. But if you have to get going outside, especially as a relief pitcher like I am, if I'm sitting there for 5-6 innings and then they're like, yo, get hot, that might be a bit of a struggle. But I'll figure it out, you know. I'm not the first pitcher in that situation.
Mm-hmm. And I got no doubts that you'll figure it out. But I know I said 2 questions, but I got one that I'm surprised I've never asked somebody up to this point. So with the minor leagues, obviously you lived in Florida, you're going up to a brand new place, way far away from where you live. How does the minor leagues treat their players when it comes to like living situations and everything like that? How does that all work out?
Well, with the Cubs, it was never really a problem because when you go to Arizona for spring training or rookie ball, you're set up in a hotel. And then it was the same deal when I was in Eugene. I mean, we were in a hotel. So I never had to deal with the whole like finding an apartment and, was the pay enough to pay for it? How much was I struggling? I never had to deal with that. So I really don't have too much of an answer for that question because I've always been, from my experience so far, I've always been posted up in a hotel. So with that, it's they treated us nicely.
No, that was basically the answer that I was looking for because I was like, whichever place you go to, do you have to like try and find a new house or new apartment or something like that?
That's how it is at the upper levels. It's not like that's how it was with the Cubs. Once you in short season and rookie ball, you're in a hotel, but as soon as you get to low A, it's on you, and then every level after that, it's on you. So I don't know how if they like recommend places. I don't know any of that, but with my situation, we were always handled pretty well.
Jeez, I just gotta say that's nuts.
Last minute.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that Double A or High A in the Cubs organization ain't anywhere close to Eugene, Oregon. So they're gonna be like, "Hey, congratulations, you got moved up. Now go find another place to live."
And go fly 8 hours and find an apartment.
Jeez, I could never. So before I say this last question, first of all, I want to say huge thank you for coming on and spending the last like little under an hour or so with us because this has been awesome. I always love getting to meet new players in the organization, and definitely want to keep in touch with you once the season gets going and all that. But Adam, you got any more questions before I get into my final question?
Yeah, just one last question. So Robert hosts a baseball show. I actually host a football show. So I got to ask, do you have any interest in football? Any teams that you root for at all?
See, that's the one sport I've never really gotten into. Well, with all sports, I'll watch when it gets like down to the wire, close to like, the championship season, playoffs, whatever. That's when I'll start watching like NBA football. It's all the same. I start tuning in when it really starts to matter. But as far as keeping it up with the whole season and who's playing for who's doing good, and I've never followed it that closely.
I got you. So, final question I got for you, and I ask this to every player I have on the show to get all the different answers to it. So, obviously, your road to where you are now hasn't been the easiest. You said you were in high school, weren't very recruited, went to junior college, then to D1, and now you're killing it you killed it in low A for minor leagues, and God knows where your journey is going to take you with this Red Sox organization. What advice do you have to that high school player who's trying to get recruited by some colleges, or that low-level college player that's trying to make it to the draft? What advice do you have for them on their road through their baseball journey?
For a high school guy, probably the biggest piece of advice is to fall in love with the weight room, because 99% of high school guys, they're not as strong as they should be. Mm-hmm. And, there's definitely a lot of room for improvement, especially if you're going into college. You're going to be an 18-year-old going up against 21, 22-year-olds. There's a big difference between an 18-year-old body and a 22-year-old body. So definitely try to pack on some weight, pack on some muscle, and, don't think the JUCO route's frowned upon, because that was kind of my mentality about it. But I just kind of took it because that was the only offer I had. And then, once I got there and I experienced it, I try to push that to as many high schoolers that I talk to. It's totally different than D1. Like I wish I had more time at Jacksonville, but at the same time, it's the time that I was in JUCO was extremely valuable to me and really pivotal to me, because you go to junior college, unless you were heavily recruited out of high school and you're extremely talented, one thing's for sure, you're going to have to work your tail off to go somewhere after that, which not only helps you in baseball, but, it helps you in real life too, because you're working towards something you want. So I think junior college is a great thing, because going into D1, chances are you're not going to start as a freshman. You're not going to get a lot of playing time. You go to a junior college, you're going to get tons of playing time, and ultimately that's how you get better. Because, throwing in a bullpen or hitting in the cage can only do so much. What it really happens is those game-like reps. That's what really gets people better. So I think the playing time that you'll get immediately going to a JUCO is huge. So that would definitely be my advice. Lift, get big, get strong, look like an athlete, look like the dudes you're trying to face, look better than them should be your goal, and to not frown upon JUCO.
That's an awesome answer. And with that being said, I got no more questions. Adam, you got nothing else?
Nothing else. Good luck.
All right.
We're all
So,
rooting for you.
yep. Thanks so much for coming on and letting us ask you 20 questions and just go through that. That was an awesome interview, and we went through everything, talking about fishing stories to Florida man to actual baseball. So with that being said, to the fans, keep an eye out for this guy. All right, keep tabs on him. Help me keep tabs on him. Watch him as he goes through this minor league journey with our Boston Red Sox organization. Thank you guys so much. Once again, thank you to Zach. We'll see you guys next time.
Denim jeans, broken dreams in my pocket. Golden thing round my neck like a locket. Carve your name in my mind, 'cause you caught it. You caught it. You golden, golden. Honestly, you know it. Meet under the street like at the young, so I could show you. You're golden, golden. Honestly, you're glowing. Meet under the mezzanine just so that I could show you. You're golden. Hey, you're golden. You're golden. Hey, you're golden. Golden. When we meet, hold my hand in the darkness. Summer heat, bodies laid on the carpet. Eye to eye,